Oh, we're recording now.
Hallelujah.
Thank you, Dr. Caroline. So I guess we're going to get started like a minute early so that we
Okay.
have the recording all put together properly. But thank you all so much for being here tonight. I am Nikki McCutchen. I'm one of your co-hosts tonight. And Dr. Caroline will also be with us. And we are so excited for you to just hear her knowledge and wisdom and hopefully have an opportunity for her to answer some of your questions at the end. Our call tonight will be for 30 minutes. And we're going to be talking about the X39 that activates this amazing peptide in our bodies. And I am just going to get started by reading our medical disclaimer. Dr. Caroline is a functional medicine doctor and chiropractor, but she is most likely not your doctor. And so the information we'll be sharing tonight is for informational purposes only. If you have any medical conditions, please check with your physician or healthcare practitioner. All LifeWave patches are not intended to treat, cure, diagnose, or prevent any disease. If you are on medications or have a medical conditions or are pregnant or nursing, please check with your physician first. So we are going to get started tonight. I obviously, if you've been invited to this call, there is someone that cares about you deeply to want you to know about these patches. And so we are so excited that you are here with us. And I am super excited to introduce you to my new sweet friend, Judy, and have you all get to hear her story. It's just one of those, I've cried with her multiple times already with all the amazing things. And so I'm so excited for her just to start telling you her story. So Judy, if you would just tell us about how you got started on the patches, why you got started on the patches, and what you've seen since you've gotten started on the patches. Oh, Judy, you're muted. Sorry, babe.
There we go. I got it. Okay. So my name is Judy.
Oh, I'm so sorry. My technical difficulties. I muted you again. So let's unmute one more time. I'm so sorry. Okay, you're still muted. Let me see. There you go.
Is that it?
Yes, you got it.
Good. Okay. So my name is Judy Kreitzer. I'm married to Kevin. I'm 66 and I have a good friend named Jody. And she happened to have a birthday lunch with me. And it was her birthday. And she was telling me how excited it was that she had a very serious problem with IBS. And that this patch really helped her almost immediately, just changed her life forever. And so I was very curious. So I have a background that's pretty significantly injury related by something that happened to us when we were first buying homes. So what happened was she knew that and she decided to share this with me thinking that this would help me as well. And it has. So the story goes, we bought a home. It was a standard home in California that they put up really fast. It had, turns out, with 77 other homes, black mold. And that was a process that was very difficult to go through because black mold is very difficult to eradicate from your body. So I was on a journey to figure out how I was going to get rid of it. I found a place that did it after going through many other doctors. And they ended up doing a great job until they went too far with the detox process. And they gave me erosive gastritis, which is basically tearing up the whole entire gut from too harsh of a protocol. So what does that mean? That means I literally had an injury that gave me celiac disease. It was very, very serious to where I couldn't eat out. I couldn't breathe in any kind of toxins. I was allergic to things I'd never been allergic before to, sensitive. So I had a tremendously difficult time figuring out how I was going to get through that process. And it took me years to find people who would believe me when I'd have anaphylactic shock syndrome, when I would eat something like a pesticide, something that was on, fruit or vegetables, or something that I didn't know was not fully washed off or whatever, or anything that had an MSG derivative. So I figured out eventually, because I'm kind of a nut for getting to the bottom of things, what was really going on, as much as I could, with research and different people who were helping me along the way. But what happened was I could never really get healed. And it was sad, because I really believe that Jesus he died on a cross for me, and by his stripes I'm healed. So I get prayer. I do supplements. I would do holistic foods as much as I could, everything that I could think of to get my gut to heal. So in the process of all of this, I went to a center where they specialized in this kind of thing. And when they did everything they did and left me with that erosive gastritis that turned into like a celiac thing, I realized that I was in trouble for the long haul, because people really didn't have a way to heal that gut lining. They said they did, but the more I do it, the more side effects I would get, even if though it was holistic. So I went allopathic, naturopathic, and I tried to combine the two. The problem with all of that was, even though there was help along the way, I still was getting sick about once every 3 or 4 weeks with anaphylactic shock. So if you've never been through those kind of symptoms, it's so serious. You really want to die. It's pretty horrific. And I just figured the Lord knows what's happening, and he's got me, but at the same time, I've got to be proactive and continue to pray and push through, stand on his word. So what happened with Jody was, she said all the right things that day that I met with her for lunch. She said, Judy, there's this thing, and it's just this patch that uses your body to heal itself with the stem cells. Well, that was great news to me, because I had been ingesting so many supplements and doing so much for so many years that it really made me feel good that my own body could heal itself. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to try it. So I did. She was fortunate to have somebody give her patches, so she gave them to me. I didn't know what they were. I didn't know what the names of them were. She gave me some information, but I didn't have any clue what I was doing at all. So I thought I had what was called an Eon patch. So I put it below my belly, but down in the area that I have problems with. And I slept for the first time all the way through the night, deep sleep, beautiful. I thought, well, that's either a coincidence or this stuff really works. So I tried it again the next night. And sure enough, I just felt so happy, so peaceful. I actually had a little bit of energy that I normally wouldn't, and some stamina at work. So I thought, okay, well, this is working. This is pretty cool. So I went over to her house 4 days later, and I signed up, and I got my little kit, and I thought, well, what could I order? And so I thought, let's order the glutathione. So because I'd been on that before with naturopaths. And so I got that in my X39 and put them on, and I got sick. I got really sick. It was just too much for my sensitive low body. And it wasn't a bad sick. It was just like, oh, this is too much. My body's not feeling good. So I talked to Nikki, and she's the one who actually helped me to understand a lot of what was happening. And thank goodness for Jody. She was sending me just video after video, and I was learning, what is X39 and what am I doing to my body and what is this for? And it was making me want to cry, because I have been doing so much research and wanting so badly for science to catch up and understand that homeopathic and homeostasis is so good for us, but we have to work together with science to get it there, and to have double-blind studies and all the things that I learned, the little bit that I've only been on a month. I was thrilled that this is real science, that this is actually something that my body is using to heal itself. And if I could learn how to combine patches and so forth, I would be okay. I would actually be able to navigate my own healing process with the help of others who really cared about me. I've never been with a group of people like this. Erin, Nikki, and Jody have literally helped me change my life forever, because I am not the same person I was a month ago. I literally have more stamina, more joy, more ability to have hope that my gut is going to heal, and then I'm going to be able to eat at a restaurant one day and not have to worry about what I'm eating. So that's my story. It's pretty simple, but even today, I was just praying and saying, thank you, God, for this, that you gave this man all this wisdom and knowledge. And I felt like I heard, do you think that if by my stripes you are healed, that in my stripes your healing could come through a patch? I thought, yeah, I didn't ever think it would come that way. I thought it would be supernatural. Boom, you're healed. But turns out it's going to come this way, along with eating well and being good to myself and exercising and having rest. So I just want to thank you guys. This has truly changed my life.
Oh my gosh. See why I cry every time I talk to her? Oh, it just makes me so excited and so thankful and just so sweet. And I want to make sure you all heard that. Okay, 1 month, right, Judy? You've only
Yeah.
been wearing the patch 1 month and you
Yeah.
started noticing results with the sleep immediately. But
First
then,
step.
yes, first day, and then continued all of these other things.
Yeah.
And I tell him a little bit about how, oh, we definitely want Judy to come back because she is working with a naturopath and she had
Mhm.
all of her numbers or vitals, or I don't know how you want to explain it, but she's had all that run when she started the patches, and she's going to keep keeping tabs on all of that. So tell us a
Mhm.
little bit of your setup with that, Judy, because I think we are all just going to be so amazed and it's going to be so cool to get to watch. So please tell us about that real quick too.
Okay, well, I've been going to, and Jody, she referred me to her as well. I'm going to naturopath. I have been for several years, and she's wonderful. It's a biomeridian, machine, and it's frequency, and I didn't even believe in it to begin with, and it works really well to read your, organs and what you're going through. And so I just happened to be scheduled with her. I only do it now about every 6 months, but at first I was every 3 months with her. And so anyway, I was scheduled to see her just for a regular routine checkup, and it was 4 days after I had started the patch. Okay, I could not believe this. I literally was not, I don't know why, but I wasn't wanting to take my supplements. I just didn't feel like I needed them at all. And I normally always take supplements because I can't process food properly. And I just literally did not feel like I could do it. So I didn't. I just rested in that and I felt great. So I wasn't worried about it. I went into her office. She checked me and she said, "What are you doing differently?" She was shocked. She's like, "You're doing great. I mean, really, really well." And I said, "Well, I'm on this thing called a patch and it's X39 and it's amazing. And I actually feel really bad because I'm not taking any of my supplements. I normally always am very faithful with that." And she said, "Well, your body doesn't need them right now." And I was like, that's a miracle. That was a literal miracle. I stopped taking, and I don't advocate this, but because of where my body was at and what it was doing with the patch, and reassigning and resetting things, I didn't start taking my supplements again for 3.5 weeks. And I never skipped a beat with energy, with the ability to process my food. The constipation was gone. All of the, I got really crazy excited. So I ate at a restaurant and something I wasn't supposed to have with gluten in it. And I didn't get sick. So I did it the next day. I didn't get sick. So I did a third day. I got sick. So I thought, okay, I better not do that anymore. So, but when I got sick, I only got sick about 50% of what I normally would after 3 days of subjecting myself to gluten, which, I'm not supposed to have. So long and the short of it, I was just like, this is a miracle. And she said the same thing. "I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it. And this is working for you." So, I mean, there have been some times it's been rough, a little bit of detox feeling, a little bit of stiffness here or whatever, but I just keep, flushing it and eating well. And now I take my supplements again. But the long and the short of it, I feel fantastic. And I have memory that I was losing. I have the ability to speak more clearly and not lose my words. Things like that, that as you age, you just hate it. You feel so frustrated, but at the same time, it's a part of aging. It doesn't have to be at all. I'm
That's right.
thrilled. I'm thrilled. Absolutely thrilled.
Yes, that's right. That is so amazing. I want to make sure you all heard
What
that
can I say?
too.
Yeah,
Four
yeah.
days.
So I'm going
Four
to go to
days she
I'm
went
going to go
in.
to Dr. Connor.
Yes. Yeah, 4 days she went into her naturopath, and already that is what the reading she was getting. So Dr. Caroline, I am like so excited for you to tell us all about this X39 patch. And I would love for you to talk us through a little bit of the detox stuff that Judy was experiencing too, because not everyone is as sensitive as she is, but I also think it's so important for people that do have sensitivities to understand some of those things so that they don't get turned off by the patch, but instead they have the reaction that Judy had of just understanding of what was actually happening in her body through a detox process. So let us know all the good stuff, Dr. Caroline.
All right. Thank you so much, Judy, for your testimony. It was amazing. And I'm so glad that Jody introduced you to this. And yeah, and that you saw results that quickly is incredible. And that you were open and willing to allow for the experience. I think it has a lot to do with it, for sure. And Jody, it's nice to see you on video. Nice to meet you. Okay, so let's just say I wish all my patients had Judy's experience. Being a functional medicine practitioner, there's a lot of things that we will recommend relative to what each individual needs. And the patches are definitely a tool that I use in my practice now regularly. Supplements are too, and then of course lifestyle changes. I want to talk a little bit, I want to just kind of touch base a little bit on anatomy and physiology in regards to how the nervous system affects the endocrine system and as well as the digestive system. And it'll probably make some sense as to like what your experience was with the Eon, for example. So the Eon activates the parasympathetic side of the nervous system. We call that the rest digest side. The parasympathetic side needs to be active when we're eating for digestion to occur properly. It also needs to be active when we're sleeping, the dominant side of the nervous system at that time, so that we heal. So one of the things I always talk about is you cannot really effectively heal unless you're in the parasympathetic. And so there's a lot of people walking around today that have experienced different kinds of trauma throughout their life and stress, and they get locked into what we call sympathetic dominance. And so when you're locked in sympathetic dominance, it interferes with digestion. Especially when there's been, chronic stress. So digestion does not work properly. And I can go into like very minute details as far as that is concerned, but it leads to a whole array of issues with incomplete digestion of proteins, is one of the biggest things. Your stomach acid levels are not acidic enough to even protect your system from pathogens. So pathogens can get down further into the digestive tract where normally they wouldn't. If you're not digesting your foods properly, then that definitely can lead to, instead of food helping you, it becomes a burden for you. It now is a burden, and it puts stress on your other organs, particularly like the liver and the kidneys and the rest of the GI tract. It's not an uncommon thing that people are dealing with today because of the amount of stress that people are under today. So we see that pretty frequently. So Judy, you mentioned, I'm used to taking my supplements to helping me digest food. That would make sense. It just suggested that you had an imbalance in your nervous system, and the Eon activated the parasympathetic side. And so that was what was really important for you to kind of help balance that nervous system out. Like we have to calm down that sympathetic, activate that parasympathetic to get that balance back. And then the stem cell patch, the X39 that you mentioned, that's the one that's going to regenerate, right? That's the one. Yes, the Eon sets the stage for healing to happen, but the X39 is what's going to help increase and your own stem cell production so that those stem cells can now be made into any other type of cell that you need for repair to take place. And the innate intelligence that runs the body, the superior intelligence, right? The divine intelligence, it knows at any given time what's most important for you for survival. So, that's the direction that the stem cells are going to get in terms of, okay, what type of cell is most important right now for repair, right? And then it's really just a matter of time, for you to see the results. So the longer that you use it, other things will start changing, other things even will start shifting, and you'll start to see change in those things as well. So it really, like you mentioned, that this is a miracle. It really is. I mean, the way that I look at God and the divine aspect is that he works through us. He works through all his creation, and that includes us. And so it really is, up to us to, when we get that, internal guidance saying, hey, you're sitting in front of this person because you have something that they need. You know what I mean? We don't always know what's going on with people. Like, I meet strangers all the time on like planes. I fly a lot, and I'll meet them on a plane, and they'll just start telling me their story. And a lot of it is health related, and they don't know what I do. We haven't discussed that. Right. And it's just an interesting dynamic. And so then I'm like, oh, I'm sitting here next to you because I actually have something that could help you. So, right. And so it's really an opportunity for us to meet why we're there, why God has us there in that position, and God has them there in that position, is to meet that. Right. And so thank you so much for sharing. And I'm going to take this recording and share it with my patients. I know for sure, because it gives people hope. A lot of people have challenges with, they come to practitioners like myself, and they're looking for answers, and you'll provide them a multitude of tools and really a roadmap for a solution, but they have to be willing to, go on that journey. And sometimes it can be challenging, right? Yeah. And so stories like yours really give people hope to like stay the course, right? To continue and right, and keep on. Yeah.
So Dr. Caroline, can you talk us through a little bit of like the detox reaction part of it? Like when she then used the glutathione patch and had some of those reactions, and why that would happen, and then maybe the choices we should make?
Yeah, and I'll talk a little bit about our culture in regards to like how the conventional realm kind of does things as well, because I think that's also playing a role in people's perception around what's actually normal and what's kind of not. We're used to, in our culture today, with over-the-counter pain medications and so many products that suppress symptoms. And that's our idea of being better. Our idea of being better is, hey, let's just get rid of the symptoms. But the reality is that doesn't mean you're actually better. You still have to, right. You still have to go through the process. And it is a normal process where anytime, let's just say somebody has an infection, for example, they're gonna start having symptoms. Those symptoms are gonna peak, and then they'll start coming down the other side. That's a normal immune response to, anything. And actually a detoxification response is also an immune response. I want to mention that because a lot of people don't think of it that way, but it absolutely is, because those are foreign substances that we're exposed to that build up in our body. And, a lot of times we'll start to experience a certain amount of toxicity, and everybody has a different threshold. And so until it hits your threshold of awareness, you're not even aware that you have those toxins present. But then you'll start to have the symptoms of toxicity, right? And when you're using something like glutathione and you're increasing the production of glutathione, and you're increasing the elimination of those toxins from storage areas, you are absolutely going to experience it, that happening. How much you experience will have a lot to do with what kind of condition your organs are in, what kind of condition the lymphatic system's in, what kind of condition are the kidneys in, what kind of condition is the GI system and the liver, right? if somebody has those channels open, it's less, and relative to how much toxicity they have, that's going to influence their experience, right?
Okay.
But typically what I'll recommend when, let's just say this, supporting your body's ability to get rid of these toxins, and I don't know how much you guys are aware of this, it can reduce cancer risk significantly. I mean, I always tell my patients, if you have a classification and you do it twice a year, that can reduce cancer risk, though at least the one that I use, like 50%. Glutathione is amazing for that, certainly from a detox perspective, but also, do you know, I mean, most people probably know that glutathione is the number one thing that protects your cells from damage. The damage that can lead to things like necrosis, which is one of the main things that leads to cancer development. Okay. Apoptosis is what you want, necrosis is what you don't want, right? So it's when things damage the cell that necrosis happens. But anyway, long story short, glutathione is the mother of all antioxidants, and that's the top thing that protects our cells from damage. So, there's a lot to this, but if you're doing things to help eliminate toxins, number one, what does that mean? That means that you have the toxins present, right? And so you need to get rid of them, right? You need a way to help get rid of them. Number two, if you're doing this and that's happening, it means it's working. It means it's working, right? If somebody's having a challenge with how much they're detoxing, it could have to do with how much toxins they have. It could also have to do with, those channels being open, and, do other organ systems need support to help that process? I always tell my patients, if it's too much, more than you can handle, then we just reduce, we kind of cut back on what we're doing. We don't want to completely come down from it, because then nothing's happening, right?
Yeah.
We just want to take it, right? We just want to take it down to your tolerance level so that you can get through it, because it will do the same thing. It will start, and then it will start going up, and then it will peak eventually, and then it'll start coming down the other side, right? So we want to get to the other side of that, because once you get to the other side of that, you're way better. You're way better, right?
So can I ask you a question about that? Would that be okay? Okay, so because I have erosive gastritis, and they have, diagnosed me with mast cell activation syndrome, biopsied all my organs in the gut, and said that, basically whatever you take in is going straight into your bloodstream. How do you recommend, I guess, regulating the patches when you have that going on, because you're not getting a regular system that has pathways? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, no, totally. And what you're describing is kind of like what we call leaky gut, because that's what happens, right?
I was diagnosed with that.
Yeah. It's a permeable gut. And so you don't have that barrier there. It's not a strong barrier, right? And so what happens is then your food ends up in your bloodstream, and your immune system has to finish the job of digestion. And that's why you have those horrible allergies. That's why. So yeah, what has to happen is that lining of the gut has to get stronger, right? Ultimately, that's the goal. Right. Right. That's the healing aspect. And that also makes sense as to why, you were recommended digestive support as well, because the more that can be digested before it goes in the bloodstream, the better, right? It's less for the immune system to have to deal with. Right. But, ultimately, so I would say, if you're, that has a lot to do with your tolerance level, basically, is how I would look at that. In that situation, can glutathione benefit you? Sure, but you're not necessarily a candidate to use it every day. You know what I mean? You've got to pace right. Yeah, you have to pace yourself. And so, maybe even every other day might even be a little too much. You know what I mean? So you just need more time in between wearing the patch. It's still going to benefit you. And eventually, as that lining improves, you'll be able to go longer, and, you'll be able to handle more,
What do you suggest will heal the lining? What specifically do you think with the X39? And then I was on the carnosine. Do you feel like those would be the good combination?
Yeah, definitely the Eon, definitely the X39. I think carnosine absolutely is a value as well, for
Mhm.
sure.
Okay.
Um, I want to say one other thing about the detox.
Okay.
Typically, the way that in my practice, the way we do things in a certain order. And I always tell patients, look, we've got to get your upper digestive support. That's got to happen first.
Okay.
Then we will start working on the lower digestive system as far as like
Makes
getting
sense.
it
Yeah,
balanced, right?
that makes
And then
sense. Yeah.
right. And then once the gut is healed, then we will do detox. So
Mhm.
normally in my practice, I don't even start doing detox
Mhm.
until the gut is in a better position,
Sure.
right?
That's why
It's
I
a
was
consent.
very nervous about this because I have been injured with detox. That's how this all started. So it
Got
was
it.
kind of, I didn't hear any of that in any of the things I read or was told. So when I actually realized that's what some of this process was, I was very concerned. But I talked to Nikki and then she explained some of what you're saying. But I have yet to have anyone actually help me to completely heal the gut lining.
Right. Yeah. And I will say this. So there's a couple, I'll just tell you this because we're talking. There's a couple things to consider with gut lining healing that can we need to think about. One is if there's a bacterial imbalance there, that needs to be
Mhm.
dealt with first. If there's any kind of gut microbiome imbalance, that
Mhm.
has to be dealt with first for it to be
Okay.
possible to heal the gut. The other thing
Okay.
would be if there's any kind of heavy metal challenges,
Mhm.
that also has to be addressed for the gut to really completely heal. Now, I will say this. So it doesn't mean that your gut can't get better, even if
Mhm.
you
It
haven't
has.
completely
Yeah.
eliminated, right,
Yeah.
heavy metals, because it can take some time depending on the metals.
Right.
It can still get better, but it just won't completely heal
Mhm.
until the heavy metals are pretty
Yeah.
much gone.
Well, I'm
So I think
fortunate because I've done this for 24 years and 19 of them I've been on the process of healing the gut from the damage. And I have definitely gotten better. There's no doubt about any of that. So I'm every step of the way with the 19 plus doctors and thousands of dollars. There's been help every single step of the way, but it's just been a
absolutely.
very slow process and very frustrating at times because it's almost a trial and error as to what I can do that will actually inflame it or will calm it down. And so I'm on a very restricted diet as a result of that because I've figured out what works and I can manage really well and what makes it worse. So I am being tested always for the bacterial part of it and all of those things. And I think that's why I'm doing so well. But the patch for whatever reason, took it to a whole nother level almost
Yes.
immediately.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, a lot of it too, right? Like as we age, our own natural ability to produce our stem cells decreases.
Mhm.
So, just putting that in the mix right away is definitely going to step it up in regards to your ability to heal for sure. And then the Eon's a great combo as well. Yeah. Those, and I
Awesome.
mean, I'm an advocate for combining patches because um at least in my experience, I just, even when I first got introduced to the patches, because, when I'm dealing with patients, they have multiple things going on. They don't
Sure.
just have one thing, right?
Mhm.
So, my first person that I introduced, he had a mold issue. He had,
Mhm.
major chronic stress issue, had a sinus issue as a result of the
Mhm.
mold issue. And,
Mhm.
he had a lot going on. So I intuitively used multiple patches on him right away. Right.
Mhm.
I just, because I understood, oh, this patch does this patch does this. Okay, I
Mhm.
need to address this, can help those things. So, and
Mhm.
it's going to increase the possibility. He had a sleep issue. It's going to increase the possibility that he can sleep. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
So we
So,
learned along the way through.
yes, yeah. And so, yeah. So for all of you on the call, combining patches can definitely synergistically impact what you're doing. That's my opinion. And, when I started out, even for myself, I asked Pastor Ed and Lorenzo and Rick, hey, what do you recommend? I wasn't having a lot of challenges at that time. So I was just like, look, like, what's your recommendation to get started? And they were like, do the severe symptoms protocol and then do the cellular regeneration right after.
Mhm.
And so I was game for that because, I was doing okay, but I wanted to I'm a very proactive person,
Me
very
too.
proactive with everything. I don't wait for something to be wrong to address it.
Yeah,
I'm always
for
like,
sure.
right. Yeah. I'm always looking for ways to level up, you know, and so, you know, I did that. In your situation, you know, like you mentioned, like we would have to go slower, right? Like we'd
Mhm.
have to pace ourselves and see how
Mhm.
you respond, right?
Right.
But you did awesome. You did
Thank
awesome.
you. I'm excited. I've been doing things for a long time with a lot of different ways and systems and stuff. And just to see, obviously my body was prepared for this a little more than maybe some, because I've been living a fasted lifestyle with the types of foods I eat. And in fact, I've been detoxed for a very long time. So I think that's why it occurred so quickly. But at the same time, I still have residue of a lot of things that are going on that are by no means, fixed. And so I have hope for the first time that I actually will probably have a healed gut.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and you're right. Everything you've done up to this point has increased the potential for you to see such
Mhm.
a response so quickly. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I agree with you. I think it's all cumulative, right? It's just like the
Yeah.
negative can be cumulative. The positive that you
Mhm.
do has also been cumulative at this point, and you've done a lot of investment in yourself. So your body was just really primed to respond very quickly because of that.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Wonderful. I'm so thrilled. I'm so grateful. And thank you
Yeah.
for doing what you do, because it does help, because when you're just on your own watching videos, and now thankfully we have a really good team that helps, at every turn. I'm so grateful because it does affect, these patches really do work. They literally
Yes.
do what they're supposed to do. And it shocked me. I had no clue, because I've been on so many different protocols, and they may work, but I'm so sensitive, they may be very harsh. And the X39 is not harsh. It's very mild. It's very good. And when I combined it with the glutathione, it was too much for me, for sure. There's no doubt, for the 12 hours, but that's okay. I figured that out. And I'm pulling back, but I actually thought I was on Eon, and I was actually on carnosine. And so that was hilarious, because I had no clue that I was actually putting it in the wrong place compared to what I learned. And I mean, once I did the research and saw what I was actually doing, I just started giggling. It was funny because it worked, and it didn't even matter that I put it in a spot that it wasn't on the little thing, put it on, and my body just ate it up like candy in a candy store. It was so happy to have that carnosine on me. So now I'm going to order the Eon, and I just can't wait to get it all. In fact, my husband said, "We're not doing this. We've been through these kinds of things before. We're not doing this." I said, okay. So I felt bad, because I knew I was going to do it, because I was ready, and I trusted Jody like no other. And I prayed, and I felt like it was okay to do. I did it. I did it for 3 days. And he said, "What's going on with you? You're very different." I told him what I had done, and he said, "I want to try it now too."
Awesome. I'm
It's a
so
shock.
glad yeah, I'm so glad you followed your intuition on that. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's on it every day. So we're gonna sit down, and we're gonna actually figure out what we're gonna do. We're gonna start combining patches, and we're really both very, very excited about it. And it's just nothing that we've ever really been able to do together, because of how costly it has been. This is actually affordable for a change.
Yeah. Yes.
You
Yeah,
know?
absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, when you think about stem cell therapy
Yeah.
and how much it is,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
most
I'm just
people,
shocked. Yeah.
yeah, most people couldn't afford that. So this is in comparison way affordable. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Awesome.
I know. I'm really excited, and he's so excited too. So I mean, for us to be on the same page is actually another real big miracle for us.
Yes. Well,
Blessing. Yes.
congratulations on all your success. And please
Thank you.
come back and tell us, you know, in the next few months, like how things are and how you progressed. And, you
Well,
know, we're here for you and to
thank
help you
you.
with all the knowledge. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
so
Any help that
appreciate
you
it.
need.
I really, really
Yeah.
appreciate it a lot. You
Yeah.
have no clue. I'm extremely happy about it. Thank you.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
My
Yeah.
pleasure.
Well, I know we're totally over time, Dr. Caroline, so I don't know if there's anything else you want to add or say, but
Just thanks everybody for being here. And, you know, I hope you enjoyed Judy's testimony just like we did. And does anybody have any questions for any of us that have shared today?
I have a question. I'm Judy's daughter. And
Hey.
hi, how are you?
Good.
My question is, if I have a mood disorder, is there anything with the patches that seem to help that?
Yes. Well, I would say this. So, like, you probably heard me talking about the Eon and the benefit of the Eon. Because the Eon reduces stress, in my opinion, that can also help mood. It can make a huge difference. There are some other things because there's some different contributors that can affect mood. Has anybody given you any guidance on contributors that affect your mood?
I have a diagnosis and I'm medicated. So
Okay.
yeah.
But they didn't really say from a causation point, like maybe, hey, these things can contribute. Okay.
It's more hereditary or genetic, and it's
Okay.
yeah.
Got it. Yeah. When we evaluate people, a lot of times I'll see things like, now you could have a genetic predisposition for something, but there could be things in your lifestyle that are also contributing. And so that's why I mentioned that. Usually most people with challenges that they have, there's more than one contributor for sure. And so the cool thing is once you learn that, you're empowered then to like make choices around that, or you can make some changes, right? And I'm getting to the patch thing here, but the way that my mind works is, okay, what are some of the contributing factors? And then that's how we would apply the patches, right? So blood sugar balance, keeping blood sugar balanced really helps mood tremendously. People that have blood sugar handling issues, and I don't care who that person is, if they have predisposition for things or not, they will be more likely to suffer from things like anxiety and depression. Okay, because they're on a roller coaster, their blood sugars doing that, and so their mood does that as well. And I would say more commonly in people that suffer from hypoglycemia or reactive hypoglycemia. So that goes into diet, right? Like eating in a way that keeps your blood sugar stable. And I won't go into all that right now, but hypoglycemia is a very common thing, just because of our culture that we live in today. Like a lot of people are eating inconsistently during the day. They're eating on the run. A lot of times they're eating even when they're stressed. It's not just what you're eating, it's how frequently you're eating. And are you eating frequently enough to keep that blood sugar stable? And then you can look at also what you're eating. Are you eating the things that will keep your blood sugar stable? But that makes a huge difference, right? So I just want to mention that. So one of the things that, in my opinion, can help as well is SP6, because hormones also can play a role. So in our mood. So SP6 can be helpful. That also can help with, to some extent, eating habits as well. They used to make Nirvana, and Nirvana was one that specifically helped with mood challenges. They are not making that right now, but my understanding is they're supposed to be making an alternative to that. Okay, so Ed's shaking his head yes, and he can speak as well. But I would definitely look at the Eon, because any kind of stress is going to affect your mood. Okay, like if your stress level goes up, your mood is you're gonna have a challenge to your mood. Blood sugar balance, that's also going to have an effect regardless of who the person is. And SP6 would help with the hormonal aspect as well. And I mean, anything that you can do for the liver is also a value in regards to a whole bunch of things, but specifically hormone balance. Anytime anybody has any liver challenges or liver congestion, and a lot of people do, they're going to have hormonal imbalance issues. Okay, so then that would go to the glutathione. So you kind of see where I'm getting at. So like if I had a deeper understanding, get kind of like seeing what's going on with the person, it helps. I mean, you can have a basic understanding of what the pouches do for sure, and then you can help anybody. But if you kind of get to know, say for example, you more, then I could get more specific.
Okay. And are
Is that
these along,
helpful?
yeah, are these along the meridians? Is it this SP6, like the spleen 6? Is that what that's
Yes.
for? Okay.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
And that one would be good. And like I said, just wearing the Eon, like you could have it. I mean, some people wear it at night just to help them sleep. Some people like it during the day. I think it just depends on the individual, like what you have going on, what your day's like. You can kind of decide. I do think the X39 would also be of value too, because it resets your genes. It starts doing that from the time that you start taking it. So people that have taken it over time can see changes in a whole bunch of things, you know. So I think that would be value too. And I mean, certainly these are things that, you can choose, or you can try different things with, if you want to try all the patches at once, or if you want to cycle the patches, you can try that,
Okay.
kind of like I was telling your mom about, not wearing glutathione every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can kind of try that. Some there might be some that are staples for you that you're like, yeah, I want to do this every day. Others you may not need to do it every day, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. This got a whole lot more interesting knowing that they're along the meridians, because I'm in an acupressure class for massage
Awesome.
therapy right now.
And
I didn't realize it was all along the meridians. When you said SP6, I'm like, I know exactly where that is.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I shared in our Native Son chat a video. I like using third-party stuff because I feel like it validates in a different way what we're doing. Okay. So a lot of times in our chat, I'll share third-party stuff that they don't even know about LifeWave, but they're talking and they're saying things that is like, that sounds like they're talking about LifeWave. So I shared, and you said something that made me think of this, but I shared a video with Dr. Robert Gilbert and what's her name? That is the race car driver.
Danica?
Yeah. Danica. So it was an interview that she was doing with him, and he started talking about all this research on stem cells and how they now have they have technology now with the stems with he didn't say patches, I don't think, but he said basically that we could use this technology on the meridians. And so I thought it was very interesting, because I'm like, well, he's talking about LifeWave, but he doesn't ever mention LifeWave. You know what I mean? So it was really interesting. But you might find that interview of value too, because again, it's like a third party thing, but they're talking about using this that way. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Does anybody else have any last comments? Dr. Or Pastor Ed, you want to mention something?
Yeah, the doctor of the soul. So I have a great testimony, Judy. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. It'll go a long ways to helping a lot of people. As a matter of fact, I had a young gentleman that I had to do a meeting right next to after this, that he had Crohn's disease. So your talk was just perfect, right on time. So thank you for that. You left me with a comment that I'm going to leave. It's in Acts 19:11-12. And I posted it on the chat. I don't know if you guys saw that, but this is something that the Lord gave me. And as a pastor, I don't mean to make this super spiritual, but I just wanted to give you this because there are things in the Word and the way that God speaks to us, that He speaks to all people. So in Acts, it says God did extraordinary things through Paul, so that even handkerchiefs and aprons that touched them were taken to the sick, and their illness and were cured, and evil spirits left them. So I just wanted to, if God can use a handkerchief or anything, He can use a donkey to speak to a prophet that wouldn't do anything. He He will speak through anything that he wants to do. So we could just not try to put God in a box, because God can do all things. And I'm thankful, my wife, my family is so thankful for this technology. And thank you, Dr. Caroline, for putting the science bit on it, because we're not against science. We're pro-science and we're pro-spirit too. So thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you all so much for
Thank
being here
you.
tonight. Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Caroline. Everyone, just reach out to us if you have any questions or didn't get your questions answered tonight. If you don't know one of us, one of you other ones probably knows one of us, so we can get your questions answered. We would love to help you. Be blessed. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Judy. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Dr. Caroline.
Thank you, Vicki.